She texted me, "Don't call, I'm busy with work." Just like that. Cold, efficient. The kind of message you send when you want someone to stop bothering you. And the second I read it, sitting alone in the car, something inside me twisted. It wasn't the words themselves. It was the way they felt. Detached. Dismissive. My wife had never texted me like that before. Not when we were dating. Not when we were newly married. Not even during fights. That text wasn't just her saying she was busy. That text was her saying, "Don't intrude on the life I'm living without you." I stared at the screen for a long time, my thumb hovering over the reply button. I typed "Okay, love you," and erased it. I typed "Don't work too hard," and erased it. And then I just sat there, the glow of the phone lighting up my face, feeling that sick gnawing in my gut, that only comes when you know you're being lied to, but you're too scared to prove it. But I couldn't let it go. Not this time. So I drove. Her office was only 15 minutes away, and I told myself the whole way there that I was just being paranoid, just wanting to surprise her with coffee or dinner, maybe catch a smile on her face when she realized her husband had shown up to make her night a little easier. I told myself I was going there out of love, but deep down I knew it was suspicion driving me, not romance. The parking lot was half empty when I pulled in, the glow of desk lamps and monitors painting squares of light against the glass building. I knew her office, second floor, far left corner. I saw the light still on, just like she said. She was working. She wasn't lying. I almost laughed at myself, called myself an idiot for doubting her. But then I got out of the car. Something made me walk in, past the security desk where the guard barely looked up, down the hallway that smelled faintly of cleaning products. My footsteps echoed louder than I wanted them to, my heart thudding harder with each one. I reached her office door. It was closed, but the light glowed from under it. I reached for the handle, already rehearsing the grin I'd flash when I walked in, and surprised her. But when I pushed the door open, the world I thought I lived in ended. She wasn't typing away at her computer. She wasn't shuffling papers or taking a call. She was on his lap. Her boss. The same man she had told me a dozen times was just a mentor, just a colleague, just someone who believed in her potential. His arms wrapped around her waist, her hands resting on his chest, his mouth so close to her neck I thought I might be sick. For a second, none of us moved. Her eyes went wide, his grip froze, my breath caught in my throat. And then she jumped up like the chair was on fire, her face pale, her lips trembling. "It's not what it looks like," she blurted, the oldest, weakest excuse in the book. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so pathetic. "Not what it looks like," I said, my voice shaking, "because it looks exactly like my wife sitting on another man's lap." He stood then, adjusting his tie, his face smug in a way that made my blood boil. He didn't apologize. He didn't even look guilty. He just smirked, like he'd been waiting for this moment. Like he'd won some twisted game. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Please, let me explain." "Explain," I snapped, pulling away. "Explain how you texted me not to call because you were too busy working. Explain how work means sitting in his lap, while he..." I couldn't even finish. The words burned too hot in my throat. Her eyes filled with tears. It was a mistake. I was tired. We were just talking. "Talking?" I cut her off again. "That's how you talk now?" I pointed at him, the smug bastard who still hadn't said a word. "On his lap, with his hands all over you?" She opened her mouth, closed it again, shook her head. For the first time she had nothing, no excuse, no lie ready to roll off her tongue. And that silence was worse than anything she could have said. I walked out. I didn't shout. I didn't make a scene. I didn't break anything. I just turned around and left, my legs carrying me out of the building, while my chest caved in on itself. I could hear her calling my name, her heels clicking on the floor behind me, but I didn't stop. Not until I was in my car with the door slammed shut, and my fists pounding the steering wheel until my knuckles bled. That night, I didn't go home. I drove destination. No plan, just miles of empty road lit by headlights, and the echo of her betrayal playing on repeat in my head. I saw her on his lap, every time I blinked, I heard her voice every time the phone buzzed with another call I ignored. It's not what it looks like, but it was exactly what it looked like. By the time the sun came up, I knew one thing. I couldn't confront her in anger. Not yet. If I blew up, she'd cry, she'd twist, she'd make me doubt what I saw with my own eyes. No, I needed to be smart, careful, patient, because if she thought she could humiliate me in my own marriage, she had no idea what I was capable of once I stopped loving her and started planning. So I went home that morning calm, collected. She was there waiting, eyes swollen, mascara streaked, hands shaking as she tried to hug me. I let her whisper apologies, excuses, half-truths. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just said, "We'll talk later." And from that day forward, I stopped being her husband. I became her shadow. I watched her more closely than ever. Every text, every call, every late night at work became another entry in the log I was building. I started saving receipts, checking statements, following her car at a distance when she thought I was busy, and every time, the pattern repeated. Him. Always him. She thought she'd shaken me off after that night at the office, thought my silence meant forgiveness, but really it meant I was giving her rope, letting her hang herself with her own lie. Because when the moment came, when I finally confronted her with everything, I didn't want a single tear or excuse to save her. I wanted her standing in the ruins of her own making, with nowhere left to run. And that moment was coming, faster than she realized. That text, "Don't call, I'm busy with work," wasn't just a lie. It was the crack in the dam, and once it broke, there was no stopping the flood. And when the flood came, I was going to let it drown her. That night when I came home and she was waiting, trembling like a child caught stealing, mascara streaked down her face, I didn't scream. I didn't slam the door. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a husband in pieces. Instead, I looked at her like I was studying a stranger, and I said quietly, "We'll talk later." And the silence after those words hurt her more than anything else I could have done. She kept trying, though. The next few days she hovered. She cooked meals she hadn't bothered with in months. She touched my arm when she passed me in the hallway. She sent those half-hearted "I love you" texts while she was at work. The same work where I'd seen her on another man's lap, and all the while I smiled, nodded, kissed her forehead before bed. And inside I was recording every second like an investigator documenting a crime scene. Because here's what I knew. If I confronted her too soon, she'd twist it. She'd cry until I questioned what I'd seen with my own eyes. She'd beg until guilt drowned my anger. No, I needed to build something she couldn't wriggle out of. Something undeniable. So I waited. Every "don't wait up. It's going to be a long night at the office." Every "we have a late meeting." Every "my boss asked me to stay behind." I tracked. I had her location pinged. I had receipts. I had timestamps. And each time she thought she was fooling me, I was just adding another brick to the wall that would eventually bury her. One Friday she left saying she had a team dinner. I followed her from a distance, my headlights off when I could, and sure enough she didn't pull into the office parking lot. She pulled into that same sleek hotel I'd seen before. I parked across the street, watched her step out in a dress I hadn't seen in years, watched him meet her at the entrance, watched them disappear inside together like two people who had done it 100 times. My chest ached so badly I thought I'd be sick, but I didn't cry. I took pictures. 2 hours later they emerged laughing, his hand pressed against the small of her back, her head tilted up to him like he was the only man in the world. That moment should have broken me. But instead it steeled me, because now I wasn't just a husband being betrayed. I was a man with evidence. That weekend while she showered, I pulled her credit card bill from the mail. Hotels, restaurants, charges that didn't match the lies she fed me. I copied them. I filed them away. And when she came out of the bathroom with her hair wrapped in a towel and that fake sweet smile, I kissed her cheek and said, "Want to watch something together tonight?" And she beamed, believing she was still in control. But every lie she told was few, and I was going to burn the whole house down with it. The breaking point came when her parents invited us for dinner. A big gathering. Her family. Some friends. Cousins. She insisted She wanted the image of the perfect couple intact. Wanted everyone to see her holding my hand and smiling like nothing was wrong. And that's when I knew that was the night. The night I would stop acting. I prepared like a man preparing for trial. I printed photos. I printed statements. I compiled screenshots of her messages, bank transactions, even the log of her location that showed her phone lighting up inside that hotel at midnight. I slipped it all into an envelope, slid it into my jacket pocket, and waited. The night of the dinner, I dressed well. She complimented me, kissed me, squeezed my hand on the way there like we were newlyweds. I almost pitied her. Almost. Her parents welcomed us warmly, the house alive with chatter, and the smell of roasted meat. Glasses clinked, kids ran through the halls, relatives asked us about our future plans. I smiled, played my part, and all the while I felt the weight of the envelope pressing against my ribs, like a heartbeat. Dinner stretched on. Wine poured freely. Her father stood at the head of the table, glass raised, and spoke about family, loyalty, the strength of marriage. My wife smiled at me across the table, that polished fake smile she had perfected. And when the toast ended, when the chatter lulled, I stood. The scrape of my chair silenced the room. All eyes turned to me. She looked up, smile faltering, her knuckles white around her glass. "What are you doing?" she whispered. I ignored her. "I want to make a toast," I said, my voice calm but sharp enough to cut glass. "To trust, to honesty, to the foundation of marriage." People nodded. Glasses lifted. She forced a smile, but her eyes screamed. "Trust," I continued, sliding the envelope from my jacket, "takes years to build, and seconds to destroy." I opened the envelope, pulled out the first photo, and laid it on the table. Her, sitting on her boss's lap. Gasps rippled through the room. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her father froze, wine sloshing in his glass. "This," I said, my tone steady, "is my wife, in her office, on her boss's lap, not working, not busy, not what she told me." Her face drained of color. "Stop," she hissed. "Please, not here." But I laid down the next photo, and the next, her walking into hotels with him, her car parked outside at midnight, her laughing across from him, at restaurants. With each one, the whispers grew louder, her family's faces darker. She told me not to call because she was busy with work. I said, my voice carried, "But this is her work. This is what she's been doing when she says she's mine." She shot to her feet, tears spilling, her words tumbling out in broken sobs. "It's not what it looks like. Please, please, you don't understand." Her father's face turned red, veins bulging at his temple. Her mother wept openly. The cousins stared at her in disgust. I gathered the photos, slid them back into the envelope, and looked her in the eye. "I understand perfectly, and I'm done." And I walked out. The chaos behind me was muffled by the blood roaring in my ears. Her footsteps pounded after me, her voice shrill, begging, "Please don't do this. Don't leave me." She grabbed at my arm outside, mascara streaked down her face, gasping for breath between sobs. "We can fix this," she pleaded. "I'll end it. I'll change, please. Don't throw everything away." I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger. "You threw it away the second you sat on his lap," I said quietly. Then I pulled free, and left her standing there in the cold. The aftermath was brutal. She called for weeks, messages swinging from rage to despair. One minute it was, "You bastard, you humiliated me." The next it was, "Please, I'll do anything. I love you." I ignored them all. Her boss disappeared, quit his job, wiped his socials, vanished. The man she risked her marriage for didn't even have the guts to stand by her. Once the truth came out, that irony should have made me bitter, but instead it made me laugh, because in the end, she lost everything. Her family disowned her. My lawyer filed the papers, and I moved out of the ashes with my head high. And here's the part that lingers. Betrayal doesn't just end. It echoes. Some nights I still hear her voice in my head. "Don't call. I'm busy with work." And I remember walking into that office, flowers in my hand, only to watch her sitting on another man's lap. That image will never leave, but neither will the memory of standing at that table, laying out the truth for everyone to see, and walking away free, because she thought she was writing the story of our life behind my back. But I wrote the ending, and the ending was mine.